And I think that when foreigners come to Japan, there is a little bit of an impression here too of like how foreigners should be. And what I think what Japanese people expect from Americans is exactly what you described.
I experienced that after leaving my hometown for the first time, moving from San Diego to Oregon, where we are now. And this was 5 years ago that we did this. And it's granted, you're still English speaking, so it's not that big of a barrier. But it was like leaving your childhood friends, like everybody's kind of moving away from each other. And when you're 30 and you're trying to like build new relationships as an adult, I found the thing that helped me the most is I really heavily leaned into the nerd stuff I enjoyed. So like I have a really good group of friends now that we text like all the time from meeting them at Magic the Gathering nights. Like I was like, you know what? I've been watching way too much Magic the Gathering content on YouTube during the lockdown, and I bought a bunch of cards, and I just found a local game shop, and I went and I sat down at a table and I started playing games with random people, and then we hit it off, and now we're like meeting once a week and just going and having a drink and playing cards and stuff, right? I think it might be harder out there, but I'm like, is that something you guys have tried? Like trying to find just like a random, like a running group, right? Or a hiking group, whatever it might be. Is that even a thing? Like, I don't know if that would be a thing out there.
It is a thing. The only issue is that, at least in my opinion, is that it also attracts a lot of weirdos who are just they're not there to do the thing that is intended by the group meetup. Like they have ulterior, they couldn't care. Like if you're going to Magic and you told them like, hey, there's going to be like one girl there, they'd be like, sweet, I'm there, let's go. And it's like, dude, you suck. Like I don't.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is hit or miss a little bit because like leaning into your hobbies is a great way to meet people and like go to those kind of interest groups. But I think the most success is when people try to find these things within like the Japanese community, and that's kind of the difference of like the foreigner community versus the Japanese community. Like I have a friend who is a musician here, and she went and joined a taiko drumming like company,
Oh, hell yeah.
They've been around for years and years and years, and it's all pretty much all like Japanese people, and she goes and they all speak Japanese and she practices her Japanese and bangs on the drums and stuff with them. And it's like really cool. I've been to one of her performances. It's really amazing. And she loves doing that because it gets you out of this like very insular foreigner community that we're kind of stuck in, and interacting with real people. So that's really, really fun. And she's made so many friends from that. But, if you're trying to stay in the foreigner pool, what I've kind of noticed, especially when you're trying to make friends with people, like a lot of people move here with their spouses or their girlfriends or boyfriends or like their significant other, whoever that may be. And so a lot of people kind of have a built-in friend already. And the people who don't have a built-in friend already are either, I moved here with a friend. I made my old roommate move with me because I knew that it would be hard to find friends. But I feel like a lot of the people who come here are people who are either like really exceptional, risk-taking, adventure-seeking, fun-loving, outgoing people, or people who didn't really maybe totally fit into their own country in a way, and they're kind of trying something out that's new because they think that maybe it'll be better.
Interesting.
And which is sort of like hit or miss, right? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes maybe
there are some people who think like Japan will be like a panacea for all their issues, where it's just like, oh, this is real bad at home and this is real bad at home, but I'll go to Japan and everything will be fine. But it's like, no, now you're playing on hard mode now because now you have the exact same problem in a foreign language with no help.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I think one thing that I notice in I'm curious to see the difference it will be for when I visit, because now like I have friends out in Japan, or people I consider friends. It's like, so if I come out there and visit, it's like, hey, David, Emily, we're going to go get drinks and food and go hang out and do all this other stuff. Like when I went out there solo though, I told myself and I was 22, right? So I told myself, I was like, I am not going to stop myself from having fun. So instead of being very reserved or whatever from like working in a kitchen and stuff like that, I was like, nope, the chances that I see any of these people ever again are less than zero. Right.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm not going to be an idiot. I'm trying to be very respectful and try to honor as many traditions as I can. But like, if I go to a bar, I might just strike up a conversation either with the bartender or the person next to me or whatever it is. I went to like random nightclubs, just popped in and see what's going on and do a little jig on the dance floor.
Oh,
and
man, when
Yeah.
when were you
This
here?
is 2008.
You were here in.
Dang.
Was Gas Panic still alive in 2008?
I have no idea.
Because that place was just.
But I will say, like, the thing was, though, what I experienced is the more open I was, the warmer the reception was, right? Maybe because they're like, oh, look at this dumb foreigner having a great time, right? But, like, I remember I was in, what's the really expensive area of Tokyo that kind of is like the nightlife Ginza, right?
Roppongi.
Oh, no, Roppongi. It was
Roppongi.
Roppongi. I was in Roppongi. I was a little bit buzzed because I just like had made drinks with a bartender because I'd asked him for a drink and he didn't
Hey.
know what it was. So
Cool.
he just invited me behind the bar and I like made it with him and we were just doing. It was
That's awesome.
it was very degenerate and it was amazing. And I just like went to go get what is it? Is it not sukiyaki? The barbecue. Oh my god. Why am I
Yakiniku?
yakiniku? Why am I like brain farting right now? Right? It's been a day.
It's been a day.
For those of you watching, I literally just came from a convention, so I apologize. But like, I went to a yakiniku place, and it was a place where if you came with like 2 or 3 people, they gave you your own table. But if you came by yourself, you had to sit like a communal table. And so
Yeah.
it was a table of 4. And I sat down. There was like one guy next to me who maybe was solo because the other 2 guys were both wearing like the same suit tie looking thing. And the guy next to me spoke English really well. And I remember having a conversation with him. So we're just talking and grilling up meat. And then he started talking to the other 2 guys. And then we all started drinking because they were ordering stuff. And like maybe one of them was the boss. And like I just remember an excessive amount of beer and food, and we were in that smoky joint where it was under, it was like a basement kind of place, and there's no ventilation and just like a smoke layer of meat, right? And it was like 2 a.m. by the
Those are the
time
best
we were all
Heaven.
done.
Yeah.
We were there I was probably there for 3 hours, and I tried to like get my wallet out, and the dude's like, no, I'm paying. I was like, yes, this is great. Thank you, right? And I actually had quite a few experiences like that, and I don't know if it was because I was so open and just being like, if you don't jive with me, that's cool. Like no harm, no foul. But I'm also not going to be very brazen. I just won't be closed off, if that makes sense. Have you guys kind of experienced anything like that? Like the more open you are, maybe the more receptive people are?
I know more than me. Jordan is that person.
Just talk to
Like,
everybody.
His superpower is like within 5 minutes he's their friend. Like it doesn't matter who it is. And I'm like the polar opposite of that, and I think that's why we work well together. But yeah, I'm not usually that kind of person. Like if I'm going somewhere alone, it's because I'm going somewhere alone.
Right. How about you, Emily?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, to your point, Paul, I do think that people here, like, there's an expectation for everything in Japan. There's an expectation for everyone. Everyone, should work, act, behave, like respond in a certain way. Food should look a certain way. It should taste a certain way. Like things should be a certain way. And I think that when foreigners come to Japan, there is a little bit of an impression here too of like how foreigners should be. And what Japanese people expect from Americans is exactly what you described: outgoing, genial,
The silly
friendly,
American.
like welcoming, smiling, making a little bit of a fool of themselves. And I think when that's what they see, like, I think that I mean, obviously some people don't like foreigners very much and don't like that, but I think
That's
that
fair.
it is a novelty to the point where people, if they want to interact with you, they think it's kind of fun to have those conversations with you. And for a lot of people, it's a chance to practice English because pretty much everyone in Japan takes English as a language in school. It's like required by the government, but no one
It's like
has
me
like
taking
such
3
a
years
chance
of
to use it
Spanish,
all the
let's be
time.
honest. Yeah,
Exactly,
I learned more Spanish working
exactly.
in a professional kitchen that I did in high school. Like, yeah.
Yeah, dude, same. So I think it might like tie into that a little bit. Like people like it here when you kind of act according to what they expect you, or like how they expect you to act. And when they see that, it's kind of rewarding for them in a sense, and they know how to interact with you, like they know what the expectations are a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're, of course, if you just want to go somewhere and be quiet and do your own thing, like to David's point, that's obviously fine too, and no one's going to bother you or be mad at you or anything like that. But I do think that if you go that extra mile to be that kind of person that's just happy, outgoing, whatever, you'll find people who want to talk with you. Like people try to come talk to me all the time in the grocery store. Like I'll just be staring at the salts and trying to decide which salt is the best salt for me, literally. And I'll have people come up to me and try to like strike up a conversation and help me choose the best salt. Literally, I've had that like exactly happen before. And so yeah, it just kind of, I think depends on the situation, depends on where you are and who's around you.
Right.
But yeah.
I've always noticed that when I personally travel, showing a genuine interest in the culture and the people goes a long way, and it just becomes like more of a matter of respect for like, or just trying to show respect. The last trip we did abroad was in Scotland, and I remember we were in Inverness, which is kind of northern Scotland, I believe, and it's a smaller town, still very beautiful. Rachel and we popped into a pub at 11:30 in the morning, because that's what you do. And we were drinking, and the bartender, his name was Peter, amazing dude. I could barely understand because he had such a like strong accent. And we were drinking next to a 74-year-old man named Dudley, who was very very drunk, and it was amazing, But like, we were just interested in what they did, right? Versus them us telling them what we did. We found out Dudley was like an expert woodworker who built ships for movie sets, and like Peter
so cool.
has owned this bar with his family for like 30 years and like, it's just like, I love hearing that stuff. But I think it always has allowed people to then open up to you and just like, you're like, okay, but also we're speaking English, even if they have a heavy accent. So that's kind of that's probably another barrier that I would think is pretty big in Japan.